Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to continue our remaining lesson on saying please. It would never do if we were at liberty to box people's ears because we did not like their behavior or the tone of their voices or the scowl on their faces. And writer says that if the government will give us permission, if the law will give us permission to beat people because they are mannerless or because their behavior is not good or because there are some people who always show displeasure over their face or who are unhappy, then what will happen? Then we will have to beat those people continuously or our fists will not get rest. And what will happen? Now the gutters are flowing with dirty water. Now the drainages of the city are flowing with dirty water, but at that time the drainages will flow with the blood of people. Why the drainages will flow with full blood of people? Because in our country there are a number of people who are mannerless. There are a number of people whose behavior is bad. There are a number of people who don't use good words. That's why writer says that if law will give us permission to beat mannerless people, then what will happen? The drainages will flow with full of blood of such mannerless people. I may be as uncivil as I may please, and the law will protect me against violent retaliation. And people think that if they are uncivilized, they are mannerless, and if somebody beats them because of their mannerless behavior, then the law will protect them. The law will give them security, and that's why they can continue to behave mannerlessly, because there is law to protect them. There is law to give them security. I may be haughty or boorish, and there is no penalty to pay except the penalty of being written down an ill-mannered fellow. And writer says that if these people are boorish, means bad. If these people are haughty, means rude. If these people are rude, these people are bad, and they are not getting penalty. Nobody is giving punishment them for their badness or for their rudeness. That's why they are continuing this mannerless behavior. And there is only punishment. What is only punishment? The only punishment is that people say that this fellow is mannerless or this fellow does not have manners. Only that is their punishment. The law does not compel me to say please or to attune my voice to other people's sensibilities any more than it says that I shall not wax my mustache or dye my hair or wear ringlets down my back. And here there is no compulsion to anybody to say please while speaking. Suppose some person is not using the word please while speaking, law does not punish him. But law does not allow us to increase our mustache. Law does not allow us to increase our hair. Law does not allow us to increase our hair until our back or until our waist. It does not recognize the laceration of our feelings as a case for compensation. What is meant by compensation? To pay for loss. Compensation means to pay for loss. Law is cutting our feelings. Law is not thinking our emotions, our feelings, our mind. Law is not thinking about all these things, but law is thinking about our hair. Law is thinking about our mustache. For law, mustache are very important. For law, our hair are very important, but for law, our emotions, our feelings are not important. There is no allowance for moral and intellectual damages in these matters. There is no allowance for moral and intellectual damages in these matters. There is moral damage. People don't have morality in their behavior, or people are spoiling intellectual things. People are spoiling the talent of other peoples. People are behaving morallessly, but nobody is punishing them. This does not mean that the damages are negligible. It is probable that the liftman was much more acutely hurt by what he regarded as a slur upon his social standing than he would have been if he had a kick on the shins, for which he could have got a legal redress. And here writer tells us that there are some damages. Mannerless people are doing some damage in the society, and we are neglecting it. Here writer gives the example of that liftman. Liftman had threw away that person out of the lift. Why? Because that person had behaved mannerlessly with that liftman. He did not use the word please, and that's why the liftman was hurted. The liftman became angry. The liftman became unhappy. And writer says that if somebody had kicked him on his leg, then what would have happened? The liftman would have forgotten the sorrow of that kick after some time. But now the status of the liftman was hurted by that person, and if somebody had kicked a liftman on his leg, the law will have protected him. But now his mind was hurted and his heart was hurted, but law is not protecting, law is not giving protection to that liftman. The pain of kick on the shins soon passes away, but the pain of a wound to our self-respect or our vanity may poison a whole day. But writer says that self-respect is very important. Our pride is very important, and self-respect of the liftman was hurted by that man, and that's why his whole day was spoiled by that person. I can imagine that liftman denied the relief of throwing the author of his wound out of the lift, brooding over the insult by the hour and visiting his wife in the evening as the only way of restoring his equilibrium. I can imagine that liftman denied the relief of throwing the author of his wound out of his lift, brooding. Brooding means thinking anxiously over the insult by the hour and visiting his wife in the evening as the only way of restoring his equilibrium. Equilibrium means balance. And writer says that person who was thrown out of the lift, that person forget his sorrow. That person forgot his sorrow, and at evening he went to meet his wife. It means he had forgotten his sorrow completely because he wanted to bring balance in his life. For there are few things more catching than bad temper and bad manners. And writer says that there are some things which are important about bad manners. When Sir Anthony Absolute bullied Captain Absolute, there was Sir Anthony Absolute, and that Anthony Absolute tortured, bullied means tortured, give trouble to whom? Captain Absolute. The latter went out and bullied his man. Then the latter second person went and he bullied to his servant. He tortured to his servant. Fag went out downstairs and kicked the page boy, and then that person went downside and he kicked the reporter, the page boy, the newspaper boy. Probably the man who said talk to the liftman was really only getting back on his employer who had not said good morning to him because he himself had been henpecked. Henpecked means harassed at breakfast by his wife. And that person who did not say please to the liftman because his servant did not say him good morning. And his servant did not say him good morning because he was tortured, he was harassed at breakfast by his wife. That's why he did not say good morning to that person, and that's why that person did not say please to the liftman, to whom the cook had been insolent because the housemaid had answered her back. And his wife did not say good morning to that person because housemaid had insulted her. And housemaid had insulted her because the housemaid had answered her back. Because the housemaid had answered her back, she had said repeat words to his wife, and it shows that we express our anger upon somebody else. Our boss gives us trouble, we come home and we give trouble to our wife. Then what does the wife do? Wife gives trouble to children. Then what does the children do? Children gives trouble to dog, animals. This is the reason behind mannerless behavior. We infect the world with our ill humors. Bad manners probably do more to poison the stream of the general life than all the crimes in the calendar. For one wife who gets a black eye from an otherwise good-natured husband, there are 100 who live a life of martyrdom under the shadow of morose temper. But all the same, the law cannot become the guardian of our private manners. No decalogue could cover the vast area of offences, and no court could administer a law which governed our social activities, our speech, the tilt of our eyebrows, and all our moods and manners. There is no law to protect if our mood is hurted by somebody, or if somebody is behaving mannerlessly, but there is no law to protect us from such mannerless people. And there are many wives who are tortured by husband. There are many wives whose emotions, whose feelings are harassed by husbands, or there are many husbands who are tortured by their wives. There are many workers who are tortured, whose emotions are tortured, whose emotions are harassed by their bosses. But there is no law to protect our emotions and our feelings. But though we are bound to endorse the verdict against the liftman, most people will have a certain sympathy with him. While it is true that there is no law that compels us to say please, there is a social practice much older and much more sacred than any law which enjoins us to be civil. And writer says that though there is no law for people to behave to use manners, but there is social practice which teaches us to be civilized. Civilization plays very important role for the healthy society, for making society healthy, for making good relations with other peoples. What is important? Manners play very important role for that. And the first requirement of civility is that we should acknowledge a service. Please and thank you are the small change with which we pay our ways as social beings. They are the little courtesies by which we keep the machine of life oiled and running sweetly. The machine of life, if we have to run the machine of life smoothly, then what should we do? We should use the words please and thank you and sorry. If we will use the words please, thank you and sorry, then our life will go ahead smoothly. Our life will go ahead without problems. That's why we should use words please, sorry and thank you. They put our intercourse upon the basis of a friendly cooperation and easy give and take, instead of on the basis of superiors dictating to inferiors. It is a very vulgar mind that would wish to command where he can have the service for asking, and have it with willingness and good feeling instead of resentment. And writer says that we should behave happily. We should respect people. If we will respect people, other people will respect us. We should never get angry upon anybody, or we should never use bad words with anybody. And if there is a boss and boss is torturing his servant, then it is a very bad. Superior is torturing inferior. This thing is not good for healthy society. I should like to feature in this connection my friend the polite conductor. By his discriminating title, I do not intend to suggest a rebuke to conductors generally. And now here writer gives us an example of conductor. There was a conductor, but writer says that I don't want to blame other conductors. On the contrary, I am disposed to think that there are few classes of men who come through the ordeal of a very trying calling better than bus conductors do. Here and there you will meet an unpleasant specimen who regards the passengers as natural enemies, as creatures whose chief purpose on the bus is to cheat him, and who can only be kept reasonably honest by a loud voice and an aggressive manner. Writer says that we travel by bus, and while traveling by bus we meet many conductors, and we come to know about their nature. How are they by nature? The conductors get angry upon passengers. Why? The conductors think that passengers are their natural enemies, but it is wrong. because they think that passengers will cheat them. Passengers always cheat them, deceive them. It is their thinking. But writer here tells that the conductor whom he met was very different from all other conductors. I fancy, but this type is rarer than it used to be. I fancy the public owes much to the underground railway company, which also runs the buses, for insisting on a certain standard of civility in its servants and taking care that standard is observed. In doing this, it only makes things pleasant for the traveling people, but performs an important social service. And writer gives us an example that there are some certain traveling agencies, they are taking care of their passengers, or they are trying to make their journey better, they are trying to make their journey pleasant, and that's why the relationship between passengers and the travel agencies are improving. They are giving better services, and that's why passengers are becoming happy upon them. And here also writer wants to say that the conductor should improve his behavior with the passengers, and passengers also should give respect to the conductor, and conductor should give respect to passengers. It is not, therefore, with any feeling of unfriendliness to conductors as a class that I pay a tribute to a particular member of that class. I first became conscious of his existence one day when I jumped onto a bus and found that I had left home without any money in my pocket. Everyone has had the experience and knows the feeling, the mixed feeling which the discovery arouses. You are annoyed because you look like a fool at the best and like a knave at the worst. You would not be at all surprised if the conductor eyed you coldly as much as to say, "Yes, I know that stale old trick. Now then, off you get." And even if the conductor is a good fellow and lets you down easily, you are faced with the necessity of going back and the inconvenience perhaps of missing your train or your engagement. And writer tells us his experience, his own experience. One day he was traveling by a bus, and while traveling the conductor came to him, and conductor asked for money for giving him a ticket. Then the writer put his hand into his pocket, but there was no pocket, there were no money into his pocket. And writer said this to the conductor. Now writer became very sad, writer became very unhappy, because he was thinking this conductor will say to him, this is the old technique of people deceiving conductor. So you get out of the bus, go back, bring money, and then you travel. And writer was thinking that he will get late for his work today because he will have to get down from the bus because of lack of money. But this conductor was very good person. This conductor gave him money and he gave him ticket, and he told writer that writer can pay back his money whenever next time he will meet to the conductor. And that's why writer was impressed by the behavior of that conductor. We will continue our remaining lesson tomorrow. Bye for now. Thank you very much. And if you like my video, please like it, comment on it, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.